joining us tonight at the Viviana in Los Angeles to celebrate the launch of Reaper of Souls. I'm Community Manager Brandy Kemmel, also known as Nevelistus on the forums. Reaper of Souls has just gone live in the Americas, which means it's now available around the world. We're here tonight to talk about the development, launch, and excitement behind the scenes of the latest expansion. Joining me are Game Director Josh Mascara, and Senior Technical Game Designer Wyatt Chang. So how are you guys doing tonight? Are you enjoying yourselves?
This is phenomenal.
Yeah, really excited to be here. It's a really exciting venue.
Awesome. So we've actually taken some questions from Twitter, but before we get to those, I would like to start off with some really basic questions. Patch 201 was really monumental for Diablo 3. So how do you think the patch, or how the game has been going since the patch went live?
Well, what do you guys think about Patch 201? You know, we worked really hard and we played the game and people experiences, but it's the response and the number of people who spoke to the game from places like Vancouver, Toronto, Texas, Florida, around the world. The feedback has been super phenomenal, super positive, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, ever since patch 2.0 came out, it's been really neat. You know, you log in to play, and my Battle.net friends list is just filled with people playing Diablo 3. It's really exciting to see. And you know, to be honest, you know, we're here doing the Q&A, but you know, a little part of me kind of wants to be at home playing right now.
So is there any player response in particular that stands out as it's really caught your eye? It's generated that emotional response? We're having some difficulties with your mic, so can you talk a little bit louder?
Louder? I can hear you.
Okay. Awesome. So pulling it back to the very beginning, what was the original place that you saw Reaper of Souls start to really solidify and become the epic experience that we have today?
I think that moment really crystallized when, as a team, we really focused on what we feel are the three fundamental pillars, not just for Reaper Souls, but for Diablo as a whole. And that all starts with epic heroes. Whether you're the Barbarian, the Demon Hunter, or the brand new Crusader, we want you guys to take on the roles of bigger-than-life heroes, and you're facing the forces of darkness. And with Reaper Souls and with the introduction of Malthael as a brand new villain, we really took this opportunity to take Diablo back to its dark, gothic roots. But at the end of the day, gothic, right. At the end of the day, Diablo is about loot, and we've done a lot of changes to make sure that you guys find the items that are awesome, and more frequent, and their legendaries are really build changing. So that's really where it all started for us.
Excellent. I'm sure there are dozens of answers for this, but I have to ask, if there is one thing that you worked on throughout the development of Reaper of Souls, what was your favorite?
One thing that I worked on, you know, obviously it was a huge team effort, would be the new loot system. We called it Loot 2.0. That was just a huge collaboration between the designers, the artists. We had character art and tech art and animators. We received brainstorms for legendary items from the entire team, and it's really made a huge difference. At a high level, everybody knows that we have, you know, these awesome legendary items that went in with patch 2.0. But I also look at other areas, like even with the yellow items, we've added new properties like the bonus to elemental damage and the bonus to specific skills. Those ones make your yellow items more interesting as well. And even beyond that, there was a philosophy that was established pretty early on: less is more. And less is more is really the idea that we didn't need to be dropping as many items on the ground as we were. So we actually drop far less items now, but the quality level of the ones that you do find is way higher. So I think that's been a huge improvement. Sometimes it's, those little details that bring it all together.
Sort of continuing into that vein, in Loot 2.0, what's been your favorite item so far?
Well, gosh, since patch 2.0 came out, I've been trying to farm up my Zunimasa set from my Witch Doctor. That set bonus that makes your fetish army last forever is just it's too good to pass up. I want to pair that with a Carnival. I haven't gotten one of those yet either. And when I finally get it all together, I'll probably move on to my Demon Hunter and try to get a Clock Eye for the lols.
So for Josh,
So for me, my favorite thing about Reaper of Souls has to be, without a doubt, getting to work with the fantastic team behind. So Team 3, you guys are awesome. You guys make getting to work super worth it every day, and I'm really, really proud of what we've accomplished together, and we're looking forward to the future. So you guys rule.
excellent. So a big part of development is the countless meetings. Of all of the meetings that you guys experienced throughout development, what was the craziest or the most memorable?
I have a most memorable meeting. It was a meeting that the systems designers had just over a year ago, and we were talking about what to do with the difficulty system. For those who remember in the original game, we had normal difficulty, nightmare, hell, and inferno. And we knew that we wanted to raise the level cap to 70. And a lot of people don't know this, but we originally had Inferno 2, And we didn't know what the name was going to be. That was our internal name, Inferno 2. It was probably going to be like Apocalypse or, Hellfire or something, I don't know. And then we realized, well, if there's an Inferno 2 to get you from 61 to 70, does that mean we need an Inferno 3 once you get to 70? And that was starting to look pretty ridiculous, and we were trying to figure out how hard all of this has to be. And then, so we had a meeting, we got everyone in the room together, and Josh kind of said, this isn't even really a representation of difficulty. These labels that we put on are really what level are you? And it makes no sense that we call it difficulty, but it's really what level do you want to play the game at? So he said, why don't we had the radical idea to actually make the difficulty slider a difficulty slider, which of course is what you see today in difficulty 2.0, and to make the game auto level with you. And this was a big scary change. It's obviously a departure from what we had done in the past. And, to be honest, I was one of the people that was against it. It was too scary for me. I looked at other games that had done auto-leveling systems and seen some of the negative effects it has in other games. And we had lots of people in the team say, this auto-leveling difficulty is crazy. It doesn't work. Other games have tried it. Stop. But we forged ahead. We said, you know what, let's just try it. Let's see what happens. And honestly, I couldn't be happier with the results.
Well, that brings us to the Twitter portion of our Q&A.
We have Josh's favorite meeting.
Oh, yeah, actually, I'm sorry, I almost skipped you. Don't let me do that.
Early on in December, every month, myself and John really assessing how we need to evolve the option house and heroes of the storm and Hearthstone and work that's coming out. And I remember one point we were discussing, Mike turned to me and asked me, so Josh, what do you need to do? And at the moment that I
something special is going to happen with Reaper. Yes, sir.
So for real this time. This time for real, we're going to Twitter questions. And our first question comes from @Malthail666. And he asks, what was the devil's hand? And will we see it at any point in the future?
Yeah, what was it?
The devil's hand. So players found out about the devil's hand because we work in a number of systems at any one time in the development of an expansion. Players found a few references in the data files to something called the devil's hand. It was a system where you could travel around the world, kill various uniques and bosses, and you would get custom unique drops. And you'd put these drops together to get a legendary item. The name Devil's Hand actually comes from the idea that the original inspiration was that it was like a deck of cards. And as you killed different monsters around the world, you'd get a card, and you put the cards together into a hand. As we iterated on the system, it turned more, that hand portion didn't work out so much. It became these collections of items that you would put together to turn in to try and get a legendary item. Well, as we continued with our iteration on this, we had three systems that were kind of all competing. We had adventure mode with its bounties. We had the Devil's Hand with these turn-ins on unique monsters, and we had crafting, which was also putting items into the world that you would obtain items off different things. And we looked at it and we basically realized that there was far too much overlap between the three systems. Adventure mode, Devil's Hand, and the new crafting were all kind of stepping on each other's territory. So we cut the Devil's Hand out and doubled down on adventure mode, which we felt was really going places.
Excellent. So the next question comes from Brad D. Marshall, and he asks, what kind of... can you swap mics with Wyatt? I guess yours has stopped working. Whenever
Sure.
you need to talk.
Test.
So you guys will be sharing that mic now.
Oh, we gotta share.
Yeah, just use that mic. Yep.
Okay. Whoa.
Yep. So, the question was, what kind of side stories are in ROS? Realm of Greed, Scoundrel, Templar, another pony level, cow level?
Well, there's no cow level, so that's for sure. But one of the really awesome things that our writers have really focused on for Reaper Souls was really fleshing out the backstory for all our followers. So if you ever wanted to find out what happened to the Scoundrel's brother, about the Templar's Order, or the Enchantress, I think you're going to find a lot of really cool surprises in store in Reaper Souls.
Excellent. The next question comes from @Menegees, and he asks, was there some piece of content, if anything, that you wanted to include for Reaper of Souls, but didn't quite make it in time?
Well, that is a very good question, isn't it, Wyatt? When you're making a game, you come up with a lot of really good ideas, and some ideas like Devil's Hand, you say, it's awesome, it probably needs to bake a little bit longer. But one of them that we felt was very important, that we needed to take the proper time to develop it, and it's one of the features that you guys have asked a lot, and that you might have noticed that Sir Wyatt and myself and the system designers have done a lot of research with, is something called ladders. So I'm very happy to say that as part of our first big content patch coming out in the next couple of months, we are going to be releasing seasons, which will include a ladder-like aspect to them.
So of course you need to let us know, what exactly are seasons?
Well, we're still working on them, but the general gist is, you'll be able to roll up a character, so level him up. We will have, specific ladders for seasons, and also some goodies that will drop along the way. But again, there's more information of that to come, and again, we're not making an announcement of when, but for sure, seasons are coming to Reaper Souls. Yeah. Secret is out.
And we can expect those for the first major content patch?
Not the first patch, the first major content patch. So in a couple of months. So.
All right then. The next question comes from @KRen30, and they ask, is there any word on a console release date?
So you may notice that tonight is March 25th, and we're here celebrating the awesome launch of Reaper Souls on PC. But for those of you who are console players, work is still progressing on a PS4 version. And when the time is right, we will make an awesome announcement as to when you can expect the PS4 version. But tonight's all about PC.
All right then. The next one comes from Dynav D. And they ask, do you plan on making the clans to be something more than just another spam chat? For example, clan quests, bonuses, etc.
The implementation of clans that we have right now in the game is, a first pass implementation. It's the basic functionality that we'd expect out of a clan, the ability to see who's online, the ability to have officers and members and general clan chat. We definitely want to look at other possibilities for clans in the futures. No details as to what that'll be. Obviously, there's some suggestions that come up all the time. Sometimes people want to see things like clan leveling. World of Warcraft did guild leveling, so we'll want to look at the pros and cons of that. There's some things that worked out well, some things that maybe we could learn from. So that's always on the table. Another feature we get requested a lot is clan trading. That's probably not something we want to look at right away either. Right now, we just had a lot of effort put in to pull the auction house out. And the reason we did that, fundamentally, is because we want playing the game and killing monsters to be the best way to get loot. We want to preserve the idea that you have to play the game to get those items. And I think we want to give that some time to breathe, So if we had clan trading, I would be concerned that it would step too much on that core reward.
So moving on, the next question comes from RoWow, and they ask, are there plans to add new Endgame Challenges in the months to come, similar to the Infernal Machine event?
New Endgame Challenges. So, Josh mentioned that the first content patch is going to have seasons. And, I'm happy to announce that there's another major feature coming in patch 2.1, which is going to be what we're internally calling tiered rifts. So the idea behind that is an actual challenge, scenario where players do increasingly hard rifts to try and see who can get the farthest. The basic mechanics that we have working right now is you go through the game in adventure mode, you do your bounties, you do a Nephilim Rift. If you clear the Nephilim Rift, there's a chance that you'll get what's called a Greater Rift token. If you successfully clear the Greater Rift in a certain time limit, then you unlock a Greater Rift key rank 2. And then if you clear that, you get a rank 3. And each one's harder than the previous. And much like seasons, we're looking to have a leaderboard as well. So you'll be able to compare your progress to the people on your friends list, your clan, and the whole region. You'll be able to see who got to the highest tier rift and what time were they able to obtain on that.
Excellent. I think we have some people here who are excited about that, right? Okay, moving on. AKA Karen asks, are you going to add a unique affix to every legendary item? If not, why?
So, new affixes to legendary items. There are more legendary items planned for the future. One of the rewards for participating in a season will probably be a few season-exclusive legendaries. Still working out the details on that. We're also looking at rewards associated with the tiered rift system that I just mentioned. So we'll have legendaries for that. And all legendary items are going to have some unique property associated with them. As for existing legendaries, there's some legendary items right now that look a little bit more like just inflated yellow items. We're probably not going to revisit those ones. Those are items that already exist. If we, the legendary effects take time. We have tech art time and design and programming. I'd rather that we were adding new legendary items. We have, lots of support that we want to give to the game, and that time is probably better spent on future legendary items rather than going back trying to retrofit old ones.
All right. Ariok asks, any plans for world events or holiday-themed events? Holiday-themed bounties, rifts?
Well, let me ask, would you guys be interested in those kind of events? All right, so there's a good chance we would consider it and think about it. I think adventure mode gives us a sort of platform for us to deliver that kind of content to our players. So if if we build it, you will play it, right?
The next question comes from @GoMeBoy75, and they ask, any chance we may see community XP buffs similar to the current one delivered on a periodic basis?
All right, I will go for it. So who here played this last week and made awesome use of the plus 100 XP buff? So yeah, I think everybody was pretty happy. I was happy I got to level up some of my characters and don't get a lot of play time. So again, these are the kind of events that you can sort of hopefully expect to see from Reaper of Souls as we go forward. We want to make sure we keep you guys engaged and reward you for coming back and playing the awesome game that is Reaper.
Very cool. The next question comes from Yasurin, and they ask, are there any plans to display reduced cooldowns or resource costs within the skills itself?
Yeah,
this
Wyatt.
would lead to more transparency.
That would be great, yeah. To have the skill tooltip reflect and take into account the stats from all your items, it's on the to-do list. No ETA as to when it'll be. I don't want to make any promises. There are some challenges, but it is something that we'd love to see.
The next question comes from @JamesDaffy, and they ask, what is your favorite part about Reaper of Souls? Well, I know we've answered this from a design perspective, but how about we tackle this from the player's perspective?
Honestly, I love multiplayer. I mentioned earlier that I log on and I see on my Battle.net friends list a whole bunch of my friends playing Diablo 3. I love that I can just jump into a game with any of them. I love that I can open up my clan list and find, what content my clan mates are doing and join in on their games. And honestly, lately I've been doing a lot of public games. I jump into a public game, I meet 3 people, they're doing all sorts of different things. People have different items, different skill builds, we're all kind of playing together. It's a fast-paced game, and we've made a lot of improvements to, auto-ping, let you know when there's a treasure goblin engaged, let people know, when you're going back to town and stuff like that. So I just find multiplayer an absolute blast.
I think for me, it's definitely has to be adventure mode. And we took a really big chance, and in fact, that feature came from one of the things our community requested, which was, could you just open up all the waypoints? And we thought, you know what, we can probably do better. We can create a whole game mode around allowing you to go anywhere and slay anything. So I'm really excited about adventure mode.
Sweet. The next question comes from John Derek Murphy, and they ask, I'd love to see a party DPS chart or parser. Will this be something added down the line?
Okay, a party DPS meter. I'm just going to go ahead and say probably not. I know that that's going to be disappointing to some people, but at the end of the day, I think a lot of people on the team feel that a DPS meter puts far too much focus on a single dimension of the game. We look at Diablo, and playing Diablo is actually being a combination of activities. You've got your movement, you've got how you use your skills, you've got your survivability, you've got your healing. And I think a damage meter causes, although it's good information and feedback, it also causes too much of a magnifying glass or a laser focus on just trying to make this one number bigger at the cost of, helping out your teammates or being a good team player, or positioning yourself well, or being quick and smart about how you play. On the other hand, I mentioned tiered rifts earlier and how we have a leaderboard. One of the things I'm really excited about is I think one of the things that people like about a damage meter, at its core, some people like to compete. And I think that the leaderboard's actually for tiered rifts is actually a better representation of that. That is a representation that kind of takes into account all of these multiple dimensions and says, look, I don't care who did the most damage. I don't care, that you topped that meter. What I care is that you cleared your rift, your challenge better than anybody else. And I think even more than that, if you think about it, we're releasing seasons and tiered rifts in the same patch. So for a lot of people, I think if you want to take it to the next level, there's going to be, who can roll new characters in a season and get to the highest tier in the tiered rift. You know, you put those together, that's going to be, you know, actual competition.
We're down to our last question, and this comes from S.A. Stewart 111. And he asks, as soon as you leave the Vibiana and get home, sleep or Reaper of Souls?
Definitely Reaper. You know, I probably won't go to bed until I have at least one character at 70.
I'll hold you to that. So for me, we still have a lot of celebration to do here, right? Some Team 3, we have some finished business over there, but so definitely Reaper before sleep.
So what are you going to do first? Which character are you going to level to 70?
I'm going to level up my Demon Hunter up to 70.
I'll be doing my Witch Doctor first, and then after that, probably, you know, my Wizard. I'll eventually get all 5. I have 5 60s right now. I'll get them all to 70.
And how about a Crusader?
Crusader I'm not doing right away. So a funny story. So this weekend, I'm having a bunch of friends come over and we're going to play on LAN. And the plan is for us to all play hardcore. And we're actually doing what we call team hardcore. So in team hardcore, you make your characters together, you agree to play together, and if anybody dies, you all kill your characters off. So my first Crusader is actually earmarked to do team hardcore with some friends.
You're crazy, but you're awesome. For me, I'm gonna, after level up my Demon Hunter, it's my Crusader from level 1 to 70 in adventure mode. It's how Crusaders do it.
Well, that wraps up our Q&A and our Twitter questions. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and for sending in your awesome questions. As a token of our appreciation, those who had their questions answered on stream tonight will be receiving a collector's edition of Reaper of Souls signed by our development team. Be sure you're following @Diablo on Twitter and keep an eye out for a direct message from us in the near future. If you can't wait to see more epic Reaper of Souls action, then stay tuned for more information because we've got several of our best streamers on site here at the Vibiana to stream live from the event, including Day 9, Archon, Datmods, and Shinobi. From all of us at Blizzard and here in Los Angeles, thanks for being a part of this amazing launch and enjoy the expansion.
Thank you.